принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You again.
The situation in Ukraine has shaped a conflict Europe hasn't seen since World War II. Conflict shatters lives, erases cities, and steals futures. Since the beginning of Putin's special operation, thousands of lives have been claimed, including civilians. Post-war reconstruction costs totaling upwards of $500 billion. The effects of the war will be felt by generations to come in Ukraine. With all this death, all this destruction, there must be roots to its causes, why it all happened and how it played out. Or exactly, the largest conflict since World War II had begun to begin with. Before I begin further, I must mention that this video will be based off Serhii Plokhy's The Gates of Europe, a history of Ukraine which goes over events which have shaped modern Ukraine and its complex relationship with Russia. Now with that, let's get into the actual video. The history of Ukraine is one of depth and intricacy. For centuries, it served as the crossroads between the East and the West, but it was during the era of Soviet control that the events of today had begun shaping up. The Ukrainian famine was when millions of Ukrainians were starved under Soviet rule, and this event would forever shape Ukrainian perspective. This period not only erased parts of Ukraine's historical narrative, but also sowed the seeds for a resurgence of national pride and eventual fight for its true independence. In 2014, Ukraine reached a critical turning point which reverberated beyond borders. A powerful wave of protest and political upheaval surged through the nation. Yet as the people of Ukraine sought to remove external domination and repression, Russian forces moved decisively to annex Crimea, an act that transformed the geopolitical landscape overnight. The annexation was far more than a territorial claim. It was a symbolic assertion of power that ignited renewed conflict in eastern Ukraine, deepening old wounds and creating new challenges for a nation already steeped in struggle. In the months and years following the invasion, communities found themselves divided, but the fight for sovereignty and dignity became so intertwined with battle against a foreign power determined to redraw the map of the region. The events of 2014 were a catalyst for a wider movement in which the Ukrainian people, emboldened by their historical resilience, set out to reclaim their narrative and secure a future defined by self-determination and hope. Turning our gaze to Russia reveals an equally complex admixture of motivations and ambitions. Russia's deep-seated interest in Ukraine is not a product of recent politics. It is the result of centuries of shared history, cultural entwinements, and strategic calculations that have been passed down through generations. For many in Russia, Ukraine is seen as an inextricable part of its historical and cultural identity, and that a land that for long was perceived as the cradle of Eastern civilization. This view, however, has been harnessed over time to justify aggressive policies and territorial claims that serve broader geopolitical objectives. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 was not solely a move for territory. It was a strategic measure intended to secure crucial naval bases, safeguard warm water ports, and reaffirm Russia's influence in the Black Sea region. The actions taken by Russian leadership have consistently been framed as defensive gestures, purposely designed to protect ethnic Russians and Russian-speaking communities. Yet many analysts contend that the underlying motive is far more ambitious: a drive to reassert influence over a region that has been slowly drifting away from Moscow's orbit following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Russia has employed a variety of tactics, ranging from conventional military interventions to modern forms of hybrid warfare, including cyber operations and the strategic use of misinformation, all aimed at destabilizing Ukraine and claiming what it considers a vital piece of its historical sphere. Conflict between Ukraine and Russia, however, is not confined to their immediate borders. Its implications are both profound and far-reaching, influencing global economic structures, security dynamics, and the stability of international alliances. Strategic location of Ukraine and Russia in Eastern Europe makes them critical nodes in a network of global trade and energy distribution. The region serves as a major transit corridor for natural gas, oil, and other commodities that fuel economies around the world. Any instability here can cause significant disruptions, cascading effects on everything from fuel prices to the operation of international shipping lanes. Global supply chains, intricately woven through multiple continents, are also vulnerable to the fallout from this conflict. When raw materials face delays or production lines are interrupted and impacted fields, the impact is felt far beyond the immediate region. affecting industries such as automotive manufacturing, agriculture, and even technology. In this interconnected world, the reverberations of Eastern European conflicts extend to every corner of the global economy, challenging nations to adapt to new realities and rethink long-standing trade agreements. Beyond the economic repercussions, the conflict also forces a re-examination of international relations and alliances. As traditional partnerships are tested by shifting power dynamics, organizations such as NATO and the European Union are compelled to respond to renewed acts of aggression, assertiveness by Russia. The political maneuvers are seen on the international stage to underscore a broader struggle for influence, where nations must balance the imperatives of national security with the demands of global cooperation. This evolving dynamic not only shapes the strategies of individual countries, but also redefines the baselines of the international order, prompting a collective reflection of the principles of sovereignty, self-determination, and the rule of law. In the midst of this historical and geopolitical complications, it is crucial to understand the past is never truly behind us. It continually informs and shapes the present. The resilience and determination of the Ukrainian people, forged over centuries of external domination and suffering, stand as a testament to the enduring human spirit. A struggle is not merely about reclaiming lost territory or reversing historical injustices. It is a fight for identity, for freedom, and for the right to determine their own destiny in a world that seems indifferent to the nations caught in the crossfire of power ambitions. On the other hand, Russia's pursuit of its strategic objectives is rooted in a desire to restore a perceived lost greatness, a longing to re-establish its place in a global hierarchy that has in recent decades seen its influence wane. The policies enacted by Russian leadership, ranging from territorial aggression to the deployment of modern hybrid warfare techniques, are all part of a broader effort to reclaim what they view as an integral part of their historical domain. As we reflect on these intertwined narratives, it becomes clear that the struggle between Ukraine and Russia is of larger global forces at work. The decisions made on the battlefields and in the corridors of power in Eastern Europe have profound implications for the entire world. Every act of defiance, every calculated move by national leaders sends ripples through global markets and international institutions. The energy markets, for instance, react not only to shifts in supply but to the broader uncertainties that such conflict introduces into an already volatile global economy. Likewise, the political ramifications extend well beyond regional borders, forcing countries to reconsider their alliances and the very nature of modern warfare. This is a moment when the lessons of history are not only remembered but are actively shaping the policies of nations striving to secure their futures. So to conclude with, the situation of Ukraine is one of deep historical and profound contemporary relevance. Struggles of the past continue to echo in the decisions of today, challenging us to confront legacies of imperial ambition, cultural suppression, and the relentless pursuit of power. The current state of affairs is a vivid reminder that history is a living, breathing entity, one that demands our attention and our critical engagement. As the Ukrainian people push forward in their quest for true independence, and as Russia maneuvers to regain a sense of lost influence, the world watches, aware that the outcomes of this conflict will reverberate far beyond Eastern Europe. As we continue to observe these unfolding events, let us remain informed and engaged, ever mindful that the past is not simply a series of departing events, but a dynamic force that shapes our collective future.